All right, let's call to order the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting for Tuesday, December 7th, 2021. Mary Ellen, can you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Tedesco?
Here.
Commissioner Volpe? Here. Commissioner Clock? Here. Commissioner Wulowski?
Here.
Commissioner Santiago?
Here.
Alternate Commissioner Caird? Here. Alternate Commissioner Coles?
Here.
Alternate Commissioner Ma? Here. Alternate Commissioner Coviello? Vice Chair Salka?
Here.
Chair Hammersley.
Hammers is here. I did hear from Joe Coviello. He's not going to be joining us tonight. We do have a quorum. If we can all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge my allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll all stand for a moment of silent reflection. Thank you. At the 80th anniversary of Pearl Harbor?
Yep.
Okay. Time flies.
I wasn't there.
Okay, we're looking for an approval of the minutes from our regular meeting on November 16th, 2021. Do we have a motion?
So move, Mr. Chairman.
I got a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Commissioner Clock with a second. Is there any discussion? Any changes? Seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Looking for an approval of the minutes of the special meeting on November 30th, 2021. Do I have a motion?
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Salka, do we have a second?
Second.
Commissioner Clocks. You guys are a tandem tonight. Clock. I don't, it's Sue Locks. I got Sue Locks in my head.
It's your turn
It's
tonight.
still not
Family.
used.
Butchered. Yeah, no, it's your turn.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Commissioner discussion, anyone have anything they want to talk about? All right, let's move into the public hearings. Item A, Guy Tuma, special permit application for a garage in excess of 3 spaces. Property located at 1 East Mountain Drive in an R40 zone, SPU 655. Mr. Tuma has a PowerPoint presentation for us.
I hope it works all right.
Yeah, Guy, if you could just state your name and your address.
Hi,
Start.
my name is Guy Tuma. I live at 1 East Mountain Drive, Southington. I've been a lifelong resident here of Southington my whole life. So what is expected of me here?
Just go through your application, just talk to us about what you want to do and what
Okay.
the purpose of that is.
So I have approximately 3 acres of land, 2.9 acres of land. We have a 2-car garage. It's attached to my house. It's 450 square feet. And right now it's filled with a bunch of motorsports and lawnmowers, and I don't have any place to put my cars. So I'd like to clean out my attached car garage, and I'd like to build another barn behind my house and put all my motorsports in there and clean up my yard. Right now everything's on. I have snowmobiles and jet skis on trailers and quads, and I'd like to. They're all on tarps. It's an eyesore. I'd like to put them all into one, get them out of the elements, put them in a building where I could tinker with them and just store them there.
Okay,
So I let me try
you
this.
look
So
like
this-
you got a PowerPoint, so why don't you go
Yep,
through
this
that?
is my property right there. The garage would be right here, clear away from my neighbors. This is looking northeast from the cul-de-sac. This is the cul-de-sac here, and my garage would be right back here behind the house. So it wouldn't be really visible from the road. Let's see here. So these arrows show where the garage would be laid out right here. This is the entrance, and this is my neighbor's house over here. That's the closest neighbor. My other neighbor is over here. They would never see my garage. And I have all woods. Here's looking, let's see. I'm looking west this way. This way I'm looking east. And this is my backwoods. We're up against the Kensington Kensington border, Kensington line, it's all woods. There's cliffs and mountains back here. It's undevelopable, whatever. What's that? Next picture. And this is similar to what I want to do. I haven't really confirmed it, but it's something, a barn, something like this. And oh, there's the proposed site right there. So there's this is all, there's a little river, it goes through here, river over here. There's my other neighbor. She wouldn't be able to see the barn. And I spoke to these two neighbors and they had no problem with it. They're fine with it. And that just shows, this is where the cliffs are. This goes up. This is Timberland Golf Course is over in this area. I think that's it. If you have any questions.
Okay. Thanks, Guy. Any questions for members of the commission? See, now, Guy, can I just ask a question on the north, looks like the north side to the left there, about how far from the property line is the garage, the closest point?
You're
It looks like it's about 50 feet.
over here?
I guess.
It's actually, that's a good question. I have it from my neighbor's yard. My
Yeah,
neighbor's the
on the
border.
north side, I think.
It's probably 50 yards, 50, maybe even more from my neighbor's border. So
Yeah, from your property line.
from this line right here,
Yep,
the
exactly.
garage is probably about 50 yards.
50 yards.
Yeah, yards. I don't know. What do you think, Nick? Is that close? Maybe a little more.
Okay. All right.
It's 40 feet from the corner of my house. From the corner of my house here out is 40 feet.
50 yards is 150 feet. It's that far.
I'd
away.
say it's, well, maybe 40 yards. I'd say it's close. I haven't really measured it, to be honest with you, how long, far.
Okay.
I figure it was further enough away
Yeah,
not to worry about it.
I don't disagree with that. I just was just checking to see.
And I can move it, 20 or 30 feet either way,
I
even
got you.
further away if that's an issue.
Okay.
Even if, I'm pretty flexible that way.
Okay. Thanks,
I
guys.
just want to, get something I can put all my stuff in one area,
Caleb, you have a question?
Sure. Thank you for the application. Real quick, are you gonna bring power out there, heat,
Yeah,
water,
power-
anything like that?
Power and heat, no water,
No water,
no, just power. and
something
heat.
for lights.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Did you have a chance to speak to the neighbor that's closest to the boundary?
I have.
Good.
Mr. Nick and Fran Tablione, and he was fine with it. He goes, whatever you do, as long as it's 20 feet away from my property line, it's fine. So
Glad to hear it. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. You all set? Anyone else from the commission?
Question. Where's the driveway going to go? Because you have a driveway on the other side
yeah,
of your
that's a good
house.
question. Well, I don't have a picture of that here. I have. Let me show you. The tech guy said if I just push this button, it goes forward. Nate, how do I do this? Oh man! All right. Well, let me point with the pointer here. So,
Get your IT guy there.
yeah. Here's my driveway coming in here.
Yep.
Okay, and I have it's all clear in the back here, so I can come around and go in this way. It's the outer edge of the property. So here's my regular driveway where we park our vehicles, and then there's a spot back here I park, and then there's a little road that comes back to get in our backyard. That's where I keep all, I cover up everything back here. So there's a road that follows the property line. Well, not the property line, the what's that? It's not a road, it's not paved. No, it's just, it's like a pathway, I guess. I cut it with a lawnmower, so.
Yeah. All set, Bob?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?
I hope that answered your question.
Okay, Guy, if you're done, then what we do now is we'll open up to members of the public to come up and testify either for or against the application, and then we'll let you follow that up to answer any unanswered questions, and then we'll close the public hearing.
Okay, stay here?
You can sit down.
Okay,
Right.
very good.
So at this time, if there's any members of the
Thank
public
you.
who have, who would like to testify in favor of this application, this is the time for them to come up and give us a piece of your mind. Seeing none, is there anyone who'd like to testify against this application? Again, seeing none. Guy, anything to add? Mary Ellen, we don't have a reason to keep this open for a public hearing. Any objection to closing the public hearing from commission members?
No.
All right, we'll close the public hearing, move on to item 8B. Gregory W. McCracken, two-lot subdivision application, property located at 365 Queen Street, owned by Cosmo Queen LLC in a B zone, S1331. Who do we have here for that? Hi. If you could just state your name and your address on the,
Gregory W. McCracken. I'm an attorney at Jacobs Walker Rice and Berry in Manchester. So my business office is 146 Main Street in Manchester. The property owner and the applicant, I'm the applicant's attorney, is Cosmo Queen LLC, which is a Connecticut limited liability company in Webster, Massachusetts at 37 Sutton Road in Suite 1. So what this is, and didn't do a visual presentation because probably we all drove by the place on the way in here. On 365 Queen Street, there's a mixed-use development consisting of two buildings. One of them's mixture of uses. The Panera Bread is the most prominent one. And then a little bit farther down Queen Street, there's a bank building. The parcel is about 3.5 acres, more or less. It was developed in that state in the early 1990s. The engineer who's with me tonight, Pat Doherty, remembers that, and the approval process hasn't really changed since then. But as you go up Loper Street, up the hill a bit, there's quite a bit of space behind the development there that the owner is considered for potential sale. So what we are here tonight on is a re-subdivision to split off about an acre. It's a little bit short of an acre. I think it's about 40,000 something square feet for a use as of yet unknown, but it would be separately owned. The subdivision itself wouldn't change the existing state of development or stormwater or utilities or anything. It would just put a boundary in there and create a separate parcel for separate ownership for some future use. We believe that the project does comply with the zoning regulations and the subdivision regulations. Pat will go through the compliance with the zoning regulations, but the yards are all laid out. We did put in the upland review area out of caution from a drainage channel that's adjoining the parcel, but not on the parcel, just to have that in there. Access would be from Loper Street. No easements would be necessary with the front parcel. Also, no utilities from the front parcel. It would, again, just be from existing ones in the street. No stormwater impacts as of yet because no specific development is contemplated. There really aren't any subdivision improvements to address other than an extension of the sidewalk, a ramp that the staff requested, and any street trees that we would have to provide under the subdivision regulations. So that's kind of a quick overview. I'll turn it over to Pat to provide the specifics on zoning and any of the other issues, and then we can address any staff comments that have continued. We've been in a dialogue over the past few days just on some engineering and planning input, and we will be happy to summarize or respond further.
Thank you. My name is Patrick Doherty. I'm a professional engineer with Midpoint Engineering and Consulting. My address is 37 Sutton Road in Webster, Mass. You may notice it's the same as the owner's address, and I'm in-house engineering for Cosmo Queen / Galaxy Development. It wasn't in the 90s that this was developed. I think it was around 2013 or 2014. It's a 3.5 acre development. It's much lower on the frontage at Queen Street. It rises significantly as you go. I guess it would be to the north. I have the subdivision map here. We don't have it up on the screen. If you didn't have it in the packet, I could show you what we're planning on doing. But basically, if you've been in that plaza, there's a retaining wall just behind the Panera building. It kind of runs parallel with Queen Street. We had always contemplated developing that portion. And in fact, when we were going through the site plan approvals, we had mentioned that, we may not be done with this. It wasn't our intent to only develop the front portion. After several years of marketing it, we found that it's not really desirable for the type of tenants we develop for. We generally develop for the national tenants, and this would most likely be a local business that would occupy on the 1 acre portion, behind the Panera and whatnot. So we're going through the subdivision process so that we would, ultimately sell this to someone who would locate a business behind there. The lot itself meets all the zoning requirements. It's meets the area requirements. It meets the frontage requirement on Loper Street. All of the other setbacks. There is a possible drainage or possible intermittent stream. I believe that we had discussed that during the original development process, and it's really just a drainage channel. There's a pipe that exits on the Jensen Properties side, runs down a drainage ditch into a catch basin. That was identified probably through our topo map as a possible intermittent stream. So we've shown that on the plan. And that would only be a 50-foot setback. That lot would be, plenty deep to develop the area away from that intermittent channel. So I won't be the engineer of record for that development, most likely. It's going to be for sale. And what we're here to do right now is to prepare that to market as a sale rather than a future development.
Okay, Patrick, a couple quick questions for me. You licensed engineer in the state of Connecticut or Massachusetts?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah, and Midpoint is licensed in
Okay.
both
There,
states.
there are about, off the top of my head, about a dozen comments from planning and from engineering. I assume that neither of those have been responded to in writing to date?
They have been.
They have been okay, that's not in our packet, but okay. Could you just go through those comments and just fill us in on what those are? Why don't we start with the engineering comments?
I do. It might just be easier. Well, I'll stand up here with you.
I just want to get it read into the
Stronger as a
record, so
team.
that's,
Kind of going through them, the planning comments were numbered, and I put those out first. So the first one appears that there's a water course that may exist just south of the property. As Pat just mentioned, the area should be evaluated and noted, along with the associated upland review area that would encroach upon this lot. So Pat did discuss the nature of the channel. We did a 50-foot upland review area under the wetlands regs just because the closest approximation really was an intermittent water course, assuming that it even really qualifies as a water course. That's how we treated it. It appeared reasonable, and that was our comment on there. The second one was note number 15 shouldn't be construed to allow access from a driveway from Loper Street. Change the wording, so we did revise the note to say any driveway would meet what was said in note number 15. Street trees are required under the subdivision regs. Our plan is to revise the plan to show any required street trees as well as the trees in the front yard area of what would be that second lot. Just logistically, we weren't able to cover that in time for this hearing. I really don't see any problem doing it if it ends up being a condition. But just for getting it in for tonight and the field work, it just wasn't possible, but we will revise the plan to show those things. The fourth comment was the sidewalk may need to be extended. We will show an extended sidewalk all the way to the edge of the property line and a ramp, but we'll have to situate it to take into account a utility pole that's in that area. Request that we look at section 4-04 of the subdivision regulations. This was a requirement that we show trees of 2-inch caliper or greater at 4 feet 6 inches above the ground. We did revise the plan to provide more detail on some of the trees in the vegetated and wooded areas, added a note, but in terms of staff's request to show the trees in the front yard, that could be done as another condition of approval. We're happy to depict them. It was just a question of the logistics of preparing the plans for this hearing. So we will do that. We did respond in writing. Beyond that, there were also engineering comments. First one was, will there be a new driveway on Loper Street? The new property address will need to be determined based on that. Yes, and we revised note 15 to say that that's where access would be. There was a request for an access easement for Lot 2 onto Lot 1. Our comment was that there really isn't going to be any access between the parcels. This one will have access from Loper Street and not from that front parcel. Topographically, it would be kind of problematic to do it that way. And I didn't really see a basis under Section 3-13 of the subdivision regs to require an easement for future street extensions or any of that kind of thing, because this lot split really doesn't have much bearing on the street system in the town. And I think that access from Loper will serve everything fine without trying to create easement rights between the two. Third one was lot number 2 shall be subject to zero increase in runoff requirements. We recognize that. We sent a copy of the stormwater report from the previous development. It does comply, and we will certainly address any changes that deal with stormwater during the zoning process. But as of right now, the subdivision won't have any impact on runoff because none of the improvements or landscaping are going to change in connection with this application. Fourth was please provide an extension to the sidewalk with a ramp. We will revise the plan to show that as mentioned above. Question about utility easements needed in favor of Lot 2 over 1. We don't anticipate any. And then for the 50-foot buffer, it was ambiguous to me what was the 50-foot buffer. If it was the upland review area, we depicted it. If it was the requirement under Section 9-10.1F of the zoning regulations, we think that would be premature because it was anywhere from 20 feet on up where there's a residentially zoned area abutting the parcel, and the commission can waive it by a supermajority vote. So it would make more sense to us to defer that for a site plan or other zoning approval. So we did depict the upland review area, but not the other, if that was what was meant. So those were our comments, and Mr. Capone did say that they were all addressed and was satisfied with the additions that we would make to the plans and the other responses, at least as of this afternoon, not long before this meeting. So apologize for the tight time frame. I don't think there was quite enough time to get it into the packet, but there was a written response.
Thank you, Attorney McCracken.
Sure.
Anything to add before I open it up to members of the commission?
Nate, I could just add, if you want to see some photos of the existing site, I'll pass this along, but I've got a photo of Loper Street looking up towards the site. You'll see that, when you see it, there's a large grouping of shrubs and small trees, and we had called that out as a landscaped area or a vegetated area rather than surveying every individual tree that might have 2.5 inches. And, that was part of that comment, and we'll certainly address that. We can go up, pick up those trees that meet the criteria. And then second, I'll pass this along as well. The sidewalk extension isn't along the whole front. As part of the development project, we had extended the project along this portion of the site's frontage, but stopped short of a utility pole because, a little bit of work is going to be needed to get around that pole rather than just continue the sidewalk straight. So, that would be done as part of the site plan that may or may not be coming in short order here, but once that property would be developed, I would assume that that's when that sidewalk extension would be put in. So, I can pass these along if you want to take a look.
Why don't you just hand those in and then we'll work our way down and we can get those into the record.
Yeah, it's probably just a matter of a few feet, really, between the end of the line.
Sometimes that happens. Let me just make sure that I understand. You're not looking for a waiver of the sidewalk requirement.
No, and I think that the engineering comments, I addressed that by saying that, that would be extended as part of the site plan that ultimately gets submitted. It wouldn't be a requirement to put that sidewalk in now. We don't even know where the driveway is going. We might end up tearing up the sidewalk we put in once,
Okay,
the engineering's done on that site plan.
okay. So this is just on the subdivision. So any questions from members of the commission? Steve?
My question would be to whoever wants to, regarding the topography. What I'm looking at here is about from the top of the wall in the front is about a 20-foot grade differential from front to back, over 110 feet. And then in the back, looking at 178 to a little bit less, so about 20 feet incline from, as we're moving up Loper. How are we dealing with that over 110 feet? I mean, that's not a lot of
Yeah,
area
and,
for a
you
climb.
know, ultimately that'll be addressed in the site plan, but I would imagine that, you know, there's gonna be some kind of a terrace wall, probably a wall behind the wall we've constructed to create a flat area, and then some kind of a wall on the further line to create a developable
So
area.
probably a
Or the
double wall,
building maybe-
one wall,
Yeah,
okay.
or the building, maybe a walkout style building. You know, there's several ways to address that, but that would be done by the, you know, the future. I had done some concept plans when we were looking at, it can be done. It's not gonna be a very intense development, obviously, you know, with the topo challenges and whatnot, but it can be developed over an acre. You can have you know, an appropriate sized building.
I assumed you thought of it, I just wanted to bring it up.
You all set?
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions for Peter?
I guess, and it's not a, just anticipating site plan. I guess I recognize this is not a site plan. You're just asking for property to be split.
Yes,
Right.
correct.
But I guess when we get there, ultimately, I'd be concerned with another exit onto Loper Street that's that close in proximity. I mean, when you come out of Panera onto Loper, on topography that's a hill, that's not easy. And now I'm putting another one right next to it. So going left out of there for either party could be dicey.
You know, there's about 125 feet between, or along the frontage line. So, you know, between the driveway of Panera and then, you know, the driveway for the residential
Yeah.
home. You know, we had been asked to provide that easement so that, you know, the properties would be connected with a common drive. You know, I can't say that that is the best way to do it right now until I see the site plans developed.
Right.
I imagine Loper Street continues up higher.
Yeah.
You know, and our driveway goes lower
Yeah.
down towards Panera, so it may be a challenge to get a driveway in. You know, we would be open to sharing a driveway if that what works out the best, but I don't think it would.
Yeah.
And that's how we responded, and that something's gonna need to be addressed at the site plan level, and
Yeah.
it may be that it's better to have a driveway in between that 125-foot stretch.
Yeah, because I think, and again, that's not for this evening because this is just split of property.
Right.
But I can anticipate that being the discussion going forward when anything gets there.
Yeah, and staff, I did identify that and said that, you know, a traffic engineer would have to evaluate that. So,
Right, right. So if I have some agita, it's probably around that.
okay.
Do you remember any sightline issues or anything really, or?
You know, it's a pretty straight road, and, you know, there's some, you know, it's a pretty steep road.
Yeah,
And right now, all the vegetation, and you can see in the picture, but, you know, I think that can be engineered and can be figured out.
I think that's a great point, Peter, because it does get dicey at that part of Loper. I've seen accidents and I've been nearly in accidents in that area myself, so it gets a little bit tricky, but any other questions from Christina?
Yeah, just echoing that, I guess I'm reassured by your assurance to work with whatever site plan, because not just for the safety risk, right? I've risked my life a couple times going to Fancy Bagels over there.
oh yeah.
It's worth it. But especially in the winter. But I guess what I'm thinking more of like is if people choose not to risk their lives by taking Loper and they want to enter into Panera to access, since it is zoned the way that it is, right? Assuming another business goes in there, connectivity between these two parcels would be essential just to kind of mitigate that flow and to mitigate any kind of danger that would occur on Loper. So I guess having that on the record tonight is important for me when we do approach site plan.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks.
I think the owner would be receptive to that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Try to
Any
make
other
it safer.
questions? You all set, Christina?
Yes, I'm all set,
Okay. Any other questions from members of the commission?
Yeah.
Nick?
I'm wondering how 8,600 feet of impervious surface doesn't create any difference with that 20-foot, like 20-foot retaining wall is going to stay as it is, correct?
Yeah, I don't know that the retaining wall is 20-foot high. I think it's more like 12-foot high
Oh, okay.
at the highest point.
Right.
But, you know, that again, that's going to go, you know, and once it gets engineered, there's going to be some kind of an underground storage, probably further away from the wall, you know, in you know, that's something that's going to need to be engineered, you know.
So it's basically something that'll be included in the site plan in the future
Exactly.
whenever it comes
Yep.
to us. Okay. Yeah, my concern is just like that drive-through getting flooded
Right.
because of runoff from the
Mhm.
impervious surface.
Any recollection about the soils? Are they pretty well drained?
Yeah, well, you know, there was a big excavation, so I can't tell you what's behind the wall, and yeah.
Yeah, I noticed that there are a number of catch basins directly below that wall.
It's a
So,
comment you
yeah.
made. So I was just saying to Jim Grappone, Nick, that the comment that he made on the zero reg requirement, that's what that is actually speaking to, I think. Correct, Jim?
Yeah, it would be, Mr. Chairman, at the property line. So the next, lot two would have to develop the zero requirement right at the property line, so. I'm not sure, would there be discharge connections? I'm not sure where lot two
You
would
know,
connect to.
you know, it's so early to tell on that.
Okay.
You know, we were required to comply with the Zarro on the development we did, and
Yeah.
certainly they're going to need to, and, you know, all that can be engineered, you know, once they get into it and figure out the soils.
Because you mentioned there's no utility, cross easements, so.
If one is going to be, right now, the feeling is that there's not going to be a requirement. You know, if there is down the road, you know, the sale would be subject to that, so.
Yeah.
You know, and subject to a site plan that developed, you certainly can't
Right.
sell a property that, you know, can't be developed, you know, so.
Yeah, I think you're getting a lot of information for the site plan, so that you're informed when you come back to us.
Yeah.
What sort of touch points we have, right?
Right,
Cross easements,
yeah.
sidewalks, right?
Yeah, and that's all part of a site plan application, and not the subdivision.
I mean,
Right.
we recognize the difficulty. It's like a zone change where everybody wants to talk about what you're going to build and you don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions for members of the commission? All right, let's open it up to members of the public, all right?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any members of the public who'd like to testify in favor of this application? Seeing none, any members of the public who'd like to testify against this application? Seeing none, anything else to add? No.
Very much.
Jim or Mary Ellen, any reason to keep this open?
I'm good.
You guys are all satisfied? Okay. Any objection to closing the public hearing from any member of the commission on this? All right, let's close it, move into our business meeting. Item 9A, Guy Tuma, special permit application for a garage in excess of 3 spaces, property located at 1 East Mountain Drive in an R40 zone, SPU 655. Any discussion on this?
I'll make a motion to approve.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I would just like to thank the applicant for proactively discussing this with the neighbors. I think that everybody should be encouraged to do so, so thank you very much. Appreciated.
Good point, Jen. Thank you. Anyone?
If I may.
Nick?
If you plan on working on any of your vehicles, you know, your recreational vehicles, just be careful about the oil. It's a watershed area. Nothing.
Okay.
I like the idea though.
Christina?
I just want to say thank you so much for being prepared and just showing, no, and we see a lot of people come prepared, but you really showed a lot of consideration for this project and you understood our time was valuable. You were here early. So I really appreciate that. So thank you for that. Enjoy your new garage.
There's a theme going, right? Anyone else?
Appreciation. It's the season.
You all set? Mary Ellen, can you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Tedesco?
Yay.
Commissioner Volpe?
Yes.
Commissioner Clock? Yes. Commissioner Wulowski?
Yes.
Commissioner Santego?
Yes.
Vice Chair Salka?
Yes.
Chair Hammersley?
Members is a yes, 7-0, motion passes. Congratulations. Good luck. Item B, Gregory W. McCracken, 2 lots subdivision application, property located at 365 Queen Street, owned by Cosmo Queen LLC in a B zone S1331. Do we have any discussion on this? Do we have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we approve S1331 with the stipulation that the trees will be a 2-inch caliber or greater along the frontage, as shown in the final plans pursuant to section 4.04.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second from Wulowski. Any further discussion on this? I think that we've stated sort of our position whenever we see a site plan on this. But that really isn't for today. So, ready for action? Yeah, let's call the roll.
Commissioner Tedesco?
Yay.
Commissioner Volpe?
Yes.
Commissioner Clock?
Yes.
Commissioner Walowski?
Yes.
Commissioner Santago?
Yes.
Vice Chair Salka?
Yes.
Chair Hammersley?
Hammersley's a yes, 7-0, motion passes. Congratulations. See you back here sometime soon, I hope. Item C, Edward Reinhardt, site plan application for proposed 9,000 square foot building, property located at 35 Burrett Street in an I2 zone, SPR 1830. This was continued from November 16th. Mr. Bravino has stepped up to the plate and is going to show us some stuff.
Hang on, Tim.
He's staring at it.
Can we have Mr. Tuma back? No? Right.
It is freezing in here, man. I'm going.
You turn on the air.
Yeah, it must be cool for you.
So if you know the way it goes, take it away.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Commission members. My name is Sev Bovino, planner of Kratzer Jones and Associates. Represented the applicant for orientation purpose. This is Mastriani Drive on the northwest corner of the property. Burris Street is on the lower end of the sheet right here. The property will be accessed from Mastriani Drive to the proposed building. The applicant went out of his way to purchase land in this area to be able to put this driveway here, so he did not have to cross a wetland area and also impact the residential area in this area here. You're familiar with that. We came forward with a zone change and all that. The land is zone I2. The property area is 3.18 acres. It's served by public sewer and public water. The proposed building is 9,000 square feet with 1,200 square feet of office up front in this area here. The two businesses will occupy this building is South End Concrete. You're familiar with them. They do concrete work in Southington and all over Connecticut. The other part owner, their partners, is a sprinkler system company. They install sprinkler systems all throughout the state, and it's a water-based sprinkler system. They do not use any chemicals. They do not install it. They do not store chemicals in this building or use chemicals. So everything is done off-site and it's water-based. And I have a letter for the record certifying to that.
Thanks, Sev.
The front portion of this property will be paved blacktop from Mastriani Drive down to the front of the office area here. This will be blacktop. The rest will be processed stone in front of the overhead doors where the heavier activities are taking place. We propose, for water quality, we propose 2 rain gardens on this property, one on the northeast corner, one on the southwest corner of the facility. And to infiltrate water into the ground to increase groundwater recharge, we've taken the roof water, which is relatively clean, and we put it into underground storage unit in the back of the building. The all lighting proposed on the site, as all the sites that we do, it's all full cutoff lighting with shielded to prevent any spillage on property owners on property next door. No floor drains are proposed in this building. We have all the appropriate notes and details, as you can see on the sheet here, with the person that's responsible for the E&S controls prior to construction, during construction, and after construction. A meeting will be had with staff to go over the details for that. We received the comments from staff. We responded to them in writing and revised the plans. We also propose street trees along the driveway because there's not enough room on Mastriani Drive here in this cul-de-sac. So we are proposing street trees along the driveway. and low flowering shrubs in front of the building in the office area here. As indicated, we have a large buffer to the residential zone in the back. And we did receive wetlands approval recently. At this point, if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer.
Thanks, Ev. Any questions from members of the commission? Christina?
It seems, did we get engineering comments back for this? I'm not seeing it in our packet.
I thought I saw them.
Yes.
Am I looking at the wrong one? Am I looking at the wrong one?
Oh, yeah, they're not in there.
How do you get it?
Questions are there, but not the answer.
You want to address those comments?
Responses.
Seth?
That's
Planning. Oh, yeah, wrong. Yeah.
Do you want to address those, Seth? Do you have those?
The comments, yes.
Yeah. Just
For engineering, the planning ones are here, but
the
Christina.
planning
don't
ones we
see
got.
them.
We don't have the engineering ones, so.
Yeah, because there's some questions about drainage, and so I was going to read them. So if you want to just speak to that, Seb, I guess you already did a little bit, but like you've already assured us that there's not going to be discharges from miscellaneous industrial uses, right? That's just for the one company you were speaking of, but there's going to be two companies in this
Two
building.
companies, both of them have no discharge,
Okay.
no floor drains.
Just because with all that water nearby, that is a concern.
Yes. We did go through the Wetlands Commission review.
I heard you there. Appreciate that. Okay, I guess I'm cool for now.
You good?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions for members of the commission? No? Seth, you have anything to add?
No, no, sir.
You have a water, did I hear you say you have a water reuse system for the rainwater on the,
Well, we have a system which we use quite often now. We take the water from the roof and take the gutter and roof leaders down to the ground level and install underground storage units, which are their low vaults systems. And we store the water that's from the roof area, which is relatively clean water, considered clean water, into the ground, allow it to filtrate to improve the groundwater recharge
wow,
for all the sites that we do.
that's pretty,
Nifty.
that's pretty cool. Plus the rain gardens you got out
Yeah,
there
the rain
too.
gardens are.
Then we have the rain gardens for treating the water, to provide water quality.
I think Seb's done his homework.
Mr. Chairman, just
Yep.
a question on the comments or the questions from engineering. It said the drainage calculation are under review. Additional comments may require revision. What is that? What are you trying to say there?
Basically, just in an effort to get the comments out in time for the meeting, I usually save the drainage calcs toward the end.
Okay.
And I just kind of look at the assumptions and just making sure that the Zyro requirements are met. But I don't actually dot every I and cross every T until right before the meeting, so I'm comfortable with.
So you're comfortable with it? Okay, thank you. That's it, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks. And Sev, I think there's a sidewalk out here already, correct?
There's no sidewalks
Not
on
on
Mastriani
Mastriani
Oh,
Drive.
Mastriani Drive, okay.
Yeah.
This is on Burritt though. But
This
I
is
thought-
an existing subdivision.
Yeah, they, as Seth mentioned, they obtained additional land in order not to come out to
Okay,
Right.
all right, I
Bird
got it.
Street.
And I think you mentioned it in here, Jim, that the address is actually Mastriani Place, so.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. Christina,
That being said, though, what's going to happen, like, because the parcel as it shows up on the map has access to Burritt, so there's no intention of having secondary access to this site, is there?
No, as a matter of fact, we have a restriction on the map that we got, we received approval and we filed it. There's a restriction for using this property here.
Cool.
It's left to be residential and we have a buffer in this area. So no, there's no intention to cross in there and to using it for anything.
All right, thank you, Seth. I'm all set.
Peter? You got some-
Just the only thing is that, we had changed this area, I guess it was this year,
Yes.
It's earlier.
in order to promote small industrial businesses like this and get them to town. So it's nice that this happened so quickly.
It was all planned out.
Gee, how about that? Funny how that works. But it's these kind of small businesses that help the town and help do things. They're usually very good neighbors, and we're looking to get more of this kind of thing. So I'm pleased that it worked out there. And, I think the former use was, landscaping company there and what have you. So I think this is a nice thing for it. And I think it's laid out. I think it's laid out pretty well.
Thank you. These are two local businesses. He's been looking for a site like this for years.
Yeah.
Finally found it and put in extra money to buy additional property to make it work. So
And we appreciate that, making, site plans work, because the kind of questions we'd probably ask. And so to do that, it's appreciated to do that. So that's all.
Anyone else?
Just a quick question. The dumpster storage area, that isn't in the 100-year flood area. Okay.
No. There's no
because it's close. It looks like
there's no floodplain affecting this property, believe it or not, other than the river itself. There's a big drop from the property down to the river area. So in this area, there's no floodplain at all.
Okay, great. Thanks.
All right. Seeing no more questions, can we get a motion?
Mr. Chair, I make a motion, we approve SPR 1830.
We have a motion from Commissioner Salka. Do we have a second?
Second.
Commissioner Tedesco? Is there no further discussion, I guess, right? Mary Ellen, you want to call the roll, please?
Commissioner Tedesco?
Yes.
Commissioner Volpe? Yes. Commissioner Clock?
Yes.
Commissioner Orlowski?
Yes.
Commissioner Santiago?
Yes.
Vice Chair Sulka?
Yes.
Chair Hammersley?
Harris, yes. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Motion passes. Thank you. Moving on to item D, George Lucapudos, request for reapproval. I tried, guys. For reapproval of expired site plan for a 12,000 square foot building, property located at 122 Spring Street, Building E in an I-1 zone, SPR 1682.1. This was continued from November 16th, and I believe that we're still waiting for wetlands action on this, so I think that we're looking for a table.
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Do I have a motion for a table? Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Action tabled. Item E, Manas Auto Sales and Repair, Inc., site plan application for additional proposed parking, property located at 339 Clark Street, owned by DS Clark LLC in an I-1 zone, SPR 1831. Mr. Stephen Judas is our special guest.
Yes.
How you doing, Steve? How was your Thanksgiving?
Not much anymore. Very good. How about yourself? Good evening. For the record, Stephen Judas with the office of Harry Cole & Son at 876 South Main Street in Plantsville. I'm here tonight on behalf of Mance Auto. I have a survey map I'm going to show you, just you guys can get an idea of the size of the building. This is a site plan modification. Mance Auto, as you may know, was originally on Manor Waterbury Turnpike, and they purchased this building and moved their operations into this location, and have been very happy with that. And they're looking to expand the parking for better access for their customers. So the property is located at 339 Clark Street. It's a 2-acre parcel, and it's an I-1 zone, and we have a town line that basically runs right through this area here, east to west, north is straight up. We did submit this plan to Cheshire and received an administrative approval from the Cheshire Planning Department. Mr. Volker was happy with the plan. We're proposing to just add parking. All the parking is currently located on the side of the building. However, the main entrance door is at this location. So for customers, we're proposing a one-way entrance into the site, a handicap space at this location with a ramp that would tie into the existing sidewalk. And then we have 7 additional spaces located here. We have a proposed landscape berm that runs along our parking area. We have a couple street trees. And we're proposing to manage our stormwater through, there's an existing swale. I'm going to go back to this previous site plan. There's an existing swale that runs in this location. So most of this site drains onto that swale and then goes off site. We're proposing to install underground galley units to provide storage for the increase in runoff from the site. We did submit drainage calculations and so on to support that to the engineering department. As I mentioned, 8 spaces, 1 handicap space, a handicap ramp, and then the drainage improvements. So it's just trying to make the site better, more accessible to clients, better look from the street. Have any questions for me that I can try and answer?
Thanks. Any questions?
I believe that
Straightforward, I think.
we're in good shape with the town planner and town engineer, but I'll let them.
Yeah. This ready for action, Jim?
Yes.
You satisfied,
Chairman,
Mary
yeah.
Ellen? You satisfied?
That's it.
Any questions? Caleb?
Hi.
How you doing?
So there's the one existing driveway, so that one's going to be for staff, and then the new parking lot will be serviced by a new driveway farther to the south.
So the new driveway is going to be a one-way driveway. So it'll be enter only at this location, and then a one-way traffic through the site, and then this would be a 2 in and out location here. So there are existing parking spaces here that will be utilized for staff, employees, and so on. And then there is access to the back of the building where they actually install their snow plows and things like that. So this 2-way entrance would remain. This would just be one directional traffic through the site, and you can see those spaces are all angled to promote that one directional.
Is there planned on any new additional signage that's going to go up for that new entrance?
Just do not enter signs at the end of the space.
Okay. That was my big question. Thanks.
Okay. Any other questions or?
I guess just one final question.
Oh.
Steve, on the parking in the front.
Yep.
How big is the actual in length? I mean, can you actually put a big pickup truck in that park in that front spot and still get around it?
Actually, yes, because a typical parking space is 9 by 18. But with when you go diagonal, we actually make those spaces considerably longer. So these spaces, I think, are about 20 to 22 overall.
Okay.
In their length. So they'll definitely be able to. He doesn't have a lot of customers coming and going. You'll see trucks here parked in a snowstorm because they come and get parts. If things break, they'll come. So that's when you'll see the most activity. But generally, there'll be 1 or 2 cars or 1 or 2 trucks parked there.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Bob.
Thanks for going to Cheshire first.
Yeah.
I just got that email today, so it almost didn't happen, but yeah.
Any other questions, comments? Looking for a motion?
Make a motion, we approve SPR 1831.
A motion, do we have a second?
Second.
We'll give that to Steve, I guess.
Sounds good.
Credit.
We just gave you the last one, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, Mary Ellen, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Tedesco?
Yes.
Commissioner Volpe?
Yes.
Commissioner Clock?
Yes.
Commissioner Wilowski?
Yes.
Commissioner Santago?
Yes.
Vice Chair Salka?
Yes.
Chair Hammersley?
Hammersley's a yes. Motion passes 7-0. Congratulations. Thanks.
Thank you.
Moving on to item number 10, administrative items. Subcommittee reports. Do we have any subcommittees that want to offer any information on their activities?
We have our first meeting on the 22nd.
Why don't you just state so we get it in the minutes on what?
We have the
subcommittee-
regulation subcommittee first meeting on the 22nd.
It's the first meeting of the new term, right?
First meeting of
Yeah.
the new term. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Great. Anyone else?
And we have a first meeting of our open space tomorrow night, actually, or
Okay.
tomorrow afternoon, 4
Okay,
o'clock.
some activities going on.
I'll just,
Jen?
for the plan of conservation development implementation committee, I'm finalizing the assembly of the committee. Just a last call. Anyone is interested in partaking. But over the break, I would encourage any new members that have just joined to go over the document. It's on the town website, Plan of Conservation and Development. It's a great tool. You'll find you use it often. And for any old members to refamiliarize yourself with the document would be helpful. And so I will have further updates at the next meeting.
All right. Thanks, Jen. Anyone who wants to participate in that subcommittee, see Jen. So, anything, Mary Ellen or Jim?
No.
Nope. We have a couple items scheduled for public hearing, or at least one item scheduled for public hearing on there.
Correct. Parent grandparent apartment will be on for January 4th.
Pretty straightforward. That's the only thing that you've received so far?
Yes.
No new applications? Nothing?
No.
All right. Look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Got a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Happy holidays, everybody.
Well, before
do.
8.
8 o'clock. I feel almost like I'm guilty. I'm getting in trouble.